The world often applauds outward success, overlooking the silent battles fought within. Such was the case for Alex, a person of remarkable intellect and boundless potential, whose professional achievements shimmered like polished gold. Yet, beneath this gleaming exterior lay a tender heart, a history of emotional vulnerability, and a profound yearning for a connection so deep it would fill every hollow space within. Alex craved not just love, but validation, a mirror reflecting their worth in unwavering light. Days were spent navigating complex projects with effortless grace, but evenings often dissolved into a quiet ache, a longing for an intimacy that felt perpetually out of reach. This internal landscape, rich with unfulfilled desire, rendered Alex particularly susceptible to certain kinds of charm. Then came Jamie, a whirlwind of charisma and captivating energy. Jamie's entrance into Alex's life felt less like an introduction and more like a cosmic alignment. Every glance, every word, every touch was imbued with an intoxicating intensity. Jamie spoke of shared dreams, of understanding Alex in ways no one ever had, showering Alex with lavish praise and constant attention. This was the love-bombing phase, a deliberate, almost surgical precision in targeting Alex's deepest needs. Alex, starved for such profound affirmation, found themselves utterly swept away, believing they had finally found the soulmate they had always envisioned. The bond formed quickly, fiercely, becoming an addictive force that eclipsed all else. Jamie seemed to be the missing piece, the ultimate validation. But the dazzling light of Jamie's affection soon began to flicker, subtly at first, almost imperceptibly. A casual suggestion about Alex's choice of friends evolved into a gentle insistence. A playful jab about Alex's work ethic morphed into a critical remark. Delivered with a smile that softened its edge, Jamie began to introduce subtle, devaluing tactics, questions that chipped away at Alex's confidence, presented as constructive criticism. Alex, still reeling from the initial enchantment, rationalized these shifts. Jamie must be stressed, Alex thought, or perhaps Alex was misinterpreting things, being overly sensitive. The love was still there, Alex believed, just momentarily overshadowed. One evening, Alex confided in Jamie about a difficult day at work, seeking comfort. Jamie listened, then turned the narrative, suggesting Alex's struggles were due to their own lack of foresight, their inability to anticipate problems. The words were delivered with a feigned concern, a tone that implied Jamie knew better, leaving Alex confused, questioning their own competency, their own grip on reality. The incident, seemingly minor, left an insidious residue of doubt. Slowly, insidiously, Jamie began to weave a web of dependency around Alex. Friends were deemed negative influences, family members too demanding. Jamie became Alex's sole confidant, their only source of comfort, their entire world. Alex's self-esteem, once robust, began to erode, replaced by a gnawing uncertainty. The idea of leaving Jamie became unthinkable, not just because of the emotional attachment, but because Alex felt utterly incapable of functioning without them. Jamie had become the arbiter of Alex's worth, the architect of their happiness. Just as the suffocation became almost unbearable, Jamie would orchestrate a grand gesture, a surprise trip, an effusive apology, a renewed promise of eternal love. These moments of false hope, precisely timed, pulled Alex back into the cycle, deepening the entanglement, strengthening the invisible chains. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The fragile peace Alex had constructed around Jamie's inconsistencies shattered dramatically one evening at a corporate gala. Jamie, fueled by alcohol and a simmering resentment over a perceived slight from Alex's colleague, launched into a tirade that was both deeply personal and publicly humiliating. Jamie's words, sharp as shards of glass, cut through the polite murmurs of the room, exposing Alex's perceived weaknesses and failures to a stunned audience. Alex's face burned, a crimson flush spreading across their cheeks as they stood frozen, caught between the desire to disappear and the desperate need to defend themselves. The shock was immediate, the betrayal profound. For a fleeting moment, as Jamie's venomous words hung in the air, a terrifying clarity pierced through Alex's denial. This wasn't love. This was a weapon. Later that week, a supportive figure, Alex's longtime friend Sarah, cautiously approached. Sarah had witnessed the gala incident and, her heart aching for Alex, gently suggested that Jamie's behavior was not normal, not acceptable. "Alex," Sarah began, her voice soft but firm, "you deserve so much more than that. This isn't just a bad patch." Alex, however, recoiled, a defensive wall immediately rising. "You don't understand, Sarah," Alex retorted, the words tasting like ash. "Jamie was stressed. It was my fault for not handling the situation better." The resistance was palpable, a testament to the deep conditioning Jamie had instilled. Alex still clung to the narrative of Jamie as a misunderstood soul, and themselves as the flawed partner responsible for any discord. An intense internal battle raged within Alex. The idealized image of Jamie, the charming, understanding lover who had once swept them off their feet, clashed violently with the painful reality of public humiliation and insidious manipulation. Memories of shared laughter, of whispered promises, flickered against the backdrop of current suffering, creating a disorienting haze of cognitive dissonance. Alex would spend hours replaying conversations, dissecting Jamie's words for hidden meanings, desperately searching for evidence that the real Jamie was still there, buried beneath layers of stress or misunderstanding. There were moments, sharp and undeniable, when Alex almost left. Once, after a particularly cruel dismissal of their feelings, Alex packed a small bag, tears streaming down their face, the car keys clutched tightly in their hand. But then Jamie appeared, contrite and tearful, promising change, swearing eternal devotion. And Alex, crippled by fear of loneliness and the crushing weight of guilt Jamie expertly deployed, unpacked the bag, drawn back into the familiar, suffocating embrace. The final, undeniable unveiling of truth arrived with brutal force. Alex discovered a series of encrypted messages on Jamie's old phone, a device Jamie had carelessly left behind. The messages revealed a meticulously planned financial deceit, a scheme that had siphoned off a significant portion of Alex's savings, funneled into secret accounts and ventures Alex knew nothing about. But far more devastating than the financial betrayal was the casual, cruel language Jamie used in these messages to describe Alex. Naive, easily manipulated, a means to an end. The words were a gut punch, shattering every last shard of Alex's denial. It wasn't just stress, it wasn't just a bad patch. This was a calculated, deliberate pattern of abuse. Alex's world imploded. The carefully constructed facade of their life with Jamie crumbled into dust, leaving behind a desolate landscape of shattered trust and profound emptiness. The denial, once a comforting shield, evaporated, exposing a raw, aching wound. Alex felt utterly alone, devastated by the depth of the betrayal, the sheer audacity of the deceit. Yet amidst the crushing weight of despair, a tiny, defiant flicker ignited within. A burning ember of anger, cold and resolute, began to glow in the ruins of their heart, promising a reckoning. This was not the end. It was the beginning of something new. The tiny flicker of defiance within Alex, born from the ashes of betrayal, ignited into a roaring flame. The decision, though excruciatingly painful, solidified with an unshakable resolve. Alex would leave Jamie. The realization that their perceived happiness was merely a meticulously crafted illusion designed to serve Jamie's avarice and control hardened Alex's resolve. The conversation was brief, devoid of the usual emotional theatrics Jamie would employ. Alex spoke with a quiet certainty, a newfound strength that Jamie, for once, seemed unable to penetrate. Jamie's initial reaction was a predictable cocktail of feigned remorse and desperate pleas, promising to change, to repay the stolen money, to be the person Alex always wanted. Yet, Alex saw through the performance, the words now hollow echoes of past manipulations. Each promise sounded like a lie, each tear a calculated tactic. Maintaining boundaries felt like navigating a minefield. Every interaction a test of Alex's newfound resolve. The immediate aftermath was a tempest of conflicting emotions. An overwhelming sense of loss, not for Jamie, but for the future Alex had so carefully constructed, settled heavily. Fear, a cold, insidious dread, whispered doubts about navigating life alone, adrift without the familiar, albeit destructive, dynamic. The comfort of the known, even when harmful, was a powerful siren song, threatening to pull Alex back into the abyss. However, Alex was determined to resist its call. The journey of self-discovery and healing began tentatively, one fragile step at a time. Alex sought professional help, finding a therapist who provided a safe space to unravel years of gaslighting and emotional abuse. The therapist's insights were like a beacon, illuminating the dark corners of Alex's psyche, helping to differentiate between reality and Jamie's twisted narratives. Reconnecting with Sarah, the supportive figure who had stood by Alex even through the resistance, became a lifeline. Sarah's unwavering belief in Alex's strength was a powerful catalyst for recovery. Alex slowly began to pick up old hobbies, passions that Jamie had systematically dismissed or ridiculed. Painting, once a vibrant outlet, now became a therapeutic release, each stroke a reclaiming of self. Small victories, like confidently saying no to an unreasonable request or spending an evening alone without succumbing to loneliness, were celebrated as monumental triumphs. The path was not linear. There were days when the weight of the past threatened to crush Alex, moments of regression where doubt gnawed at their resolve. The memories, sometimes painful, sometimes deceptively sweet, would resurface, testing Alex's boundaries and commitment to healing. Yet each time, Alex would lean on their support system, reaffirm their progress, and push forward. Months turned into a year, and the transformation in Alex was profound. The person who had once been a shadow of their former self now radiated a quiet strength, an undeniable resilience. Alex confronted the past, not with bitterness or vengeance, but with a profound understanding of the psychological mechanisms that had trapped them. The pain was still a part of their story, but it no longer defined them. It had become a source of wisdom. This newfound strength propelled Alex to transform their personal tragedy into a purpose. Alex began volunteering at a local support group for survivors of narcissistic abuse, sharing their story, offering empathy and guidance to others navigating similar dark paths. The experience of helping others, of seeing their own journey reflected in the eyes of those still struggling, was deeply redemptive. It was a testament to the power of human connection, a profound demonstration that even the deepest wounds could heal and become scars of honor. One sunny afternoon, Alex stood on a bustling street watching the world go by. A sense of peace, deep and abiding, settled over them. They were no longer defined by the trauma, no longer tethered to the ghost of a toxic relationship. Alex had not just survived, they had thrived. The cycle of toxic loyalty was broken, replaced by a fierce, unyielding self-love and an unwavering belief in their own worth. The journey had been arduous, fraught with despair and struggle, but Alex had emerged not merely whole but stronger, wiser, and irrevocably free.